From tomato to basil to radishes, here are 10 crops you can grow in your house or in your garden in February. Hi loves, my name is Demi and I make videos on urban farming. I make videos on our vegetable garden as well as our animals, so if that's the kind of content you're interested in, please consider subscribing, as it really helps out my channel and I appreciate you so much for doing that. Now February is a really tricky month for starting to grow your own crops. It's not quite warm enough and sometimes it even still freezes in the nighttime. But there are ways we can start growing vegetables without the risk of them dying to the cold. For instance, we can start up certain crops under glass or inside. In this video I'm going to show you 10 crops that you can plant right now in February. The first crop you can start off in February is potatoes. And you might think to yourself, potatoes, that's a little early. Most potatoes you can plant from about April to about August. But there are ways to start them off in the house as well. By laying them in a well-lit area like near a window or under a light, you can make potatoes sprout indoors. And then when it's actually warm enough, you can bring them outside and put them into your garden beds. This way you give your potatoes a little bit of a head start. And this also increases the success rate of the actual potatoes sprouting in your garden bed because they're already sprouted. It also makes it possible to harvest a little bit sooner than usual. I already have my own potatoes close to the window and you can see right here they've been there for about a week maybe now, and there's actually a little sprout coming up in almost every one of them, so that's great. I'm going to leave them in the house for about 4 weeks or something, and then it should be warm enough here in the Netherlands to go and put them outside in our garden beds. Number 2 is tomatoes. Last year I started up my tomato plants indoors too. It was about, I want to say, the end of February. If you've seen my video about my tomato plants from last year, you know I ended up with a ton of plants. Also, tomatoes are really easy. All you have to do, this is paprika, but similar. Fill up a little container with dirt and you dig in a little hole with your fingers. And then you put about like 10 seeds all in a bunch together in that hole. And when they sprout, they will be all bunched together. When they get big enough, you just separate them out into their separate little containers. I spread out the tomatoes when they're about 10 centimeters in height. And then I place them outside when it's warm enough for them. Number 3 is peppers, because pepper plants are I think pepper plants are very similar to tomato plants. You can start these off in the house as well, just as the same way as I showed you, because those were peppers. Number 4 is beans. And when I say beans, I'm not like talking about soy, because that obviously needs more warmer temperatures. But there are actually varieties that you can grow in February. I do have 3 varieties that I am able to grow here in the Netherlands, but there are tons of varieties of beans. These are just different color French beans, and these ones are a little bit spicy, so also depending on your taste, do a little bit of research on what kind of bean you like. Number 5 is eggplants. I'm not really into eggplants that much. I don't really like the taste of them and the texture is weird for me, but it is certainly a vegetable that you can grow in February. Now, eggplants do have a very long growth cycle. I think it's about 8 months or something. Starting them off a little bit earlier can be really beneficial because you might be able to harvest right before it gets really hot in the summertime. Number 6 is spinach. If you've seen my video of last year, you know that I am a big fan of growing spinach. I'm not really a big fan of eating it, but I like disguising it. Just like the beans we've talked about, there are many varieties of spinach. And so there are also very early varieties of spinach. This is the variety that I currently use. It's a variety with like bigger leaves. It's just from my local gardening store, so I suggest just going to your local gardening store and looking through their spinach. Mine has like 6 varieties and they go all throughout the year, so I just pick up what I need. Number 7 is basil, and I'm currently not growing it yet because I don't have the seeds. I really enjoy basil in my meals, so of course basil couldn't not be on this list. Just like all the other vegetables I've said so far, you can grow this indoors, and when it's warm enough, I think about halfway through March, you can put them outside and they will grow into these big bushy basil plants. And just like basil, you can also grow thyme the same way. Thyme you can also start off in the house, and when it's warm enough you can just put it outside and it will grow like weed. Or at least I have never had a problem with thyme. Number 9 is rosemary. I've always wanted like a big rosemary bush. So this time I'm starting off trying rosemary for the very first time. I'm starting off by seed right now, so you have to plant it inside and let it grow a little bit. But rosemary is a winter hard crop. Probably next year I will be able to just keep it outside and not have to worry about it for a little bit. And then of course every year it's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm really excited to try rosemary this time. Number 10 is radishes, and I saved this one for last just because not everybody likes radishes. Personally, I really like them, I just eat them raw. But there are so many other ways you can eat radishes. You can put them in your salads, you can put them in like oven tray meals. You can use them as seasoning to give something a little bit more kick. So I think I'm going to experiment a little bit more with that this year, just seeing in how many ways I can use radishes. So those were 10 crops you can grow in February right now. If you like videos like this, please consider subscribing because it really helps out my channel and I'm really trying to grow the channel this year. So yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you in my next video. Goodbye!